Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks so much for being here, for being subscribed. If you are, if you're not, go ahead and hit that button. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, while you're at it, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. So let's get into this conversation/reality chat. All right, so it's definitely abundantly clear based on Kimmi's facial reactions and the audacity of her husband, Maurice, that she is pretty much fed up with this so-called bonus mom parenting situation that is going on right now. Because on this most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, I just recently watched it, and I have to say the feelings that I've had about Maurice recently, his colors are just being more and more exposed, because I will be 100% honest with you guys. I never really paid him much attention. And it's kind of funny. I'm not saying this to say that I'm only saying this because Melody made a mention of it, but now looking back on things and just seeing more of Maurice, in my opinion, being exposed at this point, because Melody made a comment about him being one of the least relevant people on the show. I never really paid that comment much attention until now, because to be honest with you, at this point in time, I feel that comment that she made is becoming even more and more real, to me at least. And that's just based on my opinion, because I never really paid him much attention. I just really didn't. So I don't know if the reason why I didn't pay him much attention is because I just didn't really feel like he was showcasing much about himself, or maybe what he was showcasing, it just really wasn't of interest to me. I don't know exactly what it is, because I just didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the stuff when it came down to him and his ex son's mother, Kiowa, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And even on one of the reunions, which I probably need to go back and watch that, because I didn't really pay that much attention, but even she was on a part of one of the past reunions where she was making some comments about Kimmi interfering in their relationship. And Kimmi has denied that. And I think because Kimmi is a very likable person, I think a lot of people really wasn't here for it, didn't believe it, couldn't see Kimmi being that type of person. I don't know. None of us were there, so we can't say 100% that is not the truth. But on the preview for the upcoming episode, it shows Kimmi having a conversation with Kiowa, and Kimmy's bringing that up again. And she made mention about this narrative that was created about her interfering with their relationship. And Kiowa, she's looking like, okay, whatever. I'm wondering even more about that situation now. But I'm not going to go into all of that, because that is not what this conversation is about. This is about the fact that Maurice clearly, in my personal opinion, got custody. And I don't know if it's court ordered or if it was just an agreement. I'm thinking it was probably an agreement that Maurice Jr., his mom and Maurice came to an agreement that he would take the son, have the son living with them. And that wasn't something that was court ordered. But I believe that Maurice did this because he didn't want to pay child support. And he used the excuse of, well, our son is older. I want to have him living with me. I want to raise him and, raise him up to be a man. But you're not doing that. He's not spending time with his son. Kimmi checked him on it. And, these Scott men, it's like Scott males. I'll just say males. These Scott males, you can't seem to tell them anything. They know everything. They believe they're experts. They're geniuses. They're the smartest people in the room. You can't tell them anything. Your always going to be wrong and they're always going to be right in their eyesight. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Kimmi checked him on the fact that you're not spending time with your son. You taking him to school, picking him up from school, taking him to practice for a sport he may be playing and picking him up from the practice and asking him questions while you're in the car on the way to and from your destinations is not the definition of spending time with your son. And I'll be honest, there are a lot of men that need to admit that they have not done that when it comes to their children. You doing your duties is not the definition of spending time with your child. And the fact that he had the audacity to, in my opinion, take this child from his space of comfort where he was so used to being for many years and bringing him to a different state to live in a house with a woman, whether she's loving or not, Kimmi, a woman that is your new wife, and thinking that he's going to just gel in that situation and be 100% comfortable, you better be glad that all that we know about has been him allegedly vaping in a school bathroom. And that was exposed a couple of seasons ago by Tiffany, which she was wrong to do that. But looking back on it now, the fact that we even know about that, because if Tiffany didn't bring it out, we probably would have never known about it. And again, it wasn't our business to know that because this is a child, a minor. But with that being said, think about it. You took this child from his habitat, from his environment where he was used to being, and you took him from his mother that I'm assuming he was really close to. And now you want to try to prove a point. Also, I believe for the sake of the cameras, because it's a storyline. So you're doing it for a show, and also to save some money while you make money by being on the show, but not wanting to pay child support because you technically have custody. You did all of this for your own intents and purposes. And listen, I know Maurice isn't listening to me, so I'm just speaking as if I am speaking to him. So yeah, in my personal opinion, I believe Maurice got the child, which they need to quit calling monster. This boy needs to be called his name. Call him by his name. Even if you just want to call him Junior, which he probably doesn't want to hear that because most kids don't want someone to call them Junior. They would rather be called by their name. But you're speaking a term over him. Words give life. So I was saying all of those things to say that you're lucky that all we know about him doing and all you know about him doing, I believe at this point, is he was possibly vaping in a school bathroom and not out here committing crimes and getting locked up because he is acting out based off of the anger that he has. So you're lucky that he's just not speaking much, or he's quiet, or he's not cleaning his room or taking out the trash. Things could be a whole lot worse with his expressions of frustration and anger, because that is how a lot of children do act out. Not all kids get into crime to act out, but I'm just saying he should be thankful that it hasn't gotten to that point, and he needs to do more at this point. If you wanted to get this child so that you could so-called step up and have your son be raised to be a responsible young man, then you need to be doing the work. The fact that he had the nerve to have this meetup with he, Kimmi, and Kiowa and Maurice Jr. to speak about this situation, Kimmi is like checking him left, right, and center. He's not there for it. It needed to be done. Kiowa was agreeing with a lot that Kimmi was saying. And I believe Kiowa wanted to say more, but it's probably, I feel, some timidity there when it comes to her being on camera. I don't know what her personality is like off of camera. And hey, it could be the very same when she's not on camera. I'm just saying, I'm assuming it's like that because she isn't a part of the show. So sometimes when people get on these shows that are not a part of the show and they're on camera and they're being filmed, they may not really be 100% themselves. And that's not to say that they're being fake. I just believe that they're just trying to be careful. And I believe she's trying to be careful in her actions and in her words and how she expresses herself, because she doesn't want to be portrayed in a light that she knows that she isn't, and also doesn't want to be judged when at the end of it all, she is still Maurice Jr.'s mother. Okay. But for Maurice to act as if he's doing everything right. And he's saying, well, Kimmi, she needs to feel comfortable with disciplining him because she is his parent too. This is why I feel like Kimmi is just really regretting all of this. I feel like she was duped. She felt like she was getting the man. She had her own child. Her son was getting of age to the point where he was going to be up and out and on his own. And now she's being placed back into a role of mothering, and it's not even her own child, even though she's being kind and nice to call herself a bonus mom. Yeah, okay, whatever. First of all, I wouldn't even be with anybody like Maurice, but I'm just saying, if it were me, I would not have a problem saying, listen, this is your child. I didn't sign up for this. This is something, if you thought that I was going to be down for this would have had to have been a discussion that we would have had to have had before we got married. This isn't an agreement that we made. And so if you want to raise your son, you are going to have to raise your son. You are going to have to discipline your son. I'm going to live my life. I will be your wife, but I'm not his mother. You raise him. I'm not doing it. I'm not disciplining him. You do it. So I'm not saying that Kimmi shouldn't have the right or even feel comfortable if she sees him in the moment of doing something that he shouldn't be doing or not doing something that he should be doing, to check him and to speak up. But Maurice basically wants this woman to be this son's live-in household mom. And that's not who she is. He has a mother that is alive and well that allowed him to get their son and have their son live with him. If I was his mom, I would be reconsidering that and getting my son back, because when she had a separate meeting with Maurice Jr., you could clearly tell that he's closer to his mom than he is to his dad. I'm not saying that he doesn't love his dad or doesn't even like his dad, but we all know that most children have a parent that they gravitate towards more than the other. And it's not always out of a space of hatred. It's just you have that parent that you're more comfortable speaking to. I love my mom and my dad. I grew up in a household with both of them, but I'm closer to my mom than I am to my dad. And it'll always be that way. And there's nothing that he could do to ever change it, because that's just what it is. And so I know that it's not this thing when it comes to Kimmi where she's trying to protect her peace, trying to protect her health. So she's not wanting to get all up in arms and seem like she's the one that's the troublemaker, but she needs to feel comfortable saying, look, I have my own life that I'm trying to save. I ain't got time for all this. So you, Kiowa and Maurice Jr., y'all work this out. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm the one going through this battle, fighting for my life, being subjected to a health situation and a health scare that I didn't ask for. No one wants to have to go through. And then you want to add additional stress on me by having me be a part of all of this drama and stress. You got me effed up. And that's what I would say. And I would have walked out of that room and left, because there's no way that she should be subjected to any of that stuff. Because for Maurice to say to Kimmi, well, I believe that you and Kiowa, you both should just meet up together and handle everything. Like, he really does not want to be involved. This man just wants to say that he has his son living with him and he's raising his son, but he's doing this to save face for the show in terms of having a storyline, and to save money by not having to pay child support because he's not the custodial parent. He wants to be the custodial parent for the sake of taxes, for the sake of that check that he's getting from being on the show, and for the sake of not having to write a check by paying child support. Maurice is absolutely selfish. He's crazy. And Kimmi really needs to reconsider some things, because listen, it's already bad enough that she's been going through this battle. You don't want to have to go through that another time. Once someone has gone through that, the likelihood is that they could possibly go through it again in the future. And I just don't believe that this situation that she's in is worth her life. I know the vows are for better or for worse, in sickness and health till death do us part. But don't allow this man and his situation to drive you to the grave. That's not what it's supposed to be. Love is supposed to be easy. I know a lot of people try to portray love and marriage as hard. Marriage isn't supposed to be hard. Life may be hard. Other situations in life may be hard. And that's why you're supposed to, if you are married to someone, go through those things together. But love isn't supposed to be hard, and marriage isn't supposed to be hard. But a lot of reasons why a lot of marriages fail is because you have people that get into the marriages that never should have been married in the first place. So it isn't that marriage is a flawed institution. It really is that there are a lot of flawed people that get into marriages. And that's what I will say about that. And I believe that Kimmi got into a marriage with a very flawed person. I don't know the details about all that transpired to them getting together to even be in a relationship and getting to the point of them getting married. Because Kiowa, she apparently has feelings about that, whether she and Maurice were in this marriage and things were working out, but he was being devious and deceitful and seeing Kimmi on the side. I'm not trying to say anything negative about Kimmi's character, but I believe that it is possible that Maurice was not being truthful and honest to both of these ladies. And so it put them both in a bad predicament. So I do believe, in my personal opinion, that he was seeing Kimmi while he was still giving Kiowa the thoughts and maybe even the hopes and the desires that their marriage was on a upward trend and that things were going to be working out. And ultimately it didn't. So that's my personal opinion about the marriage and the relationship. But when it comes to this it's not co-parenting, but when it comes to this bonus mom and parenting situation that he's trying to force her to be in, what is Maurice so busy doing? Like, I know that he apparently has passed the bar, so he is technically an attorney. But just because you're an attorney doesn't mean that you're a busy attorney. Do you know how many lawyers out here that are so not busy that they've created YouTube channels? And listen, I'm not even knocking anything to say anything negative about the people that have done that, because there are a lot of great content creators on YouTube that are attorneys. But trust and believe that if they were that busy, the majority of the really successful, prosperous, busy attorneys are not creating content on YouTube and spending hours and hours on end creating content. The lead attorney. I'm sorry, I can't stand that guy. But anyway, I'm just saying, if you're familiar, then you're familiar. I don't know many successful attorneys that are doing live streams on YouTube for 4 or 5 hours. You ain't busy. You ain't busy. And I said it just like I said it. But anyway, I don't know what Maurice is so busy doing that he can't be spending hours upon hours with his son. It's not Kimmi's child. It's his son. It's Kiowa's son. They had this child together. Kimmi shouldn't have anything to do with that whatsoever. I'm not saying that she has to be cold and be the wicked stepmother, but I am saying that she shouldn't have to be put in a place where she's feeling responsible to mother someone else's child. Because when he tried to call her on this, we should all be meeting up together because we're all ultimately monsters. That's what they call them. Again, they need to stop calling that kid monster. We're all monsters, parents. And Kimmi was like, yeah, I was at the last bonus parent meeting that you left early and left me at. And then he's, again, can't take any accountability, can't be wrong. Well, I wasn't the one that was late. Kimmi had nothing to do with any of that. She was there for you. And then you had the nerve to leave her at this meeting so that your new wife, the step parent, could be sitting and having a meeting with Maurice Jr.'s birth mother and her new husband. And that is absolutely insane. What was Kimmi supposed to say and do at this juncture? It just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Instead of him just coming out and saying, you know what, hindsight 2020, I effed up with that. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, I was, needing to leave because I did have a meeting that was scheduled, but we should have just ended the meeting and said, look, guys, you were late. We tried to stick around, but I have some place that I need to go. And so we'll just have to do this another time. But leaving Kimmi there to handle it, that was just insane. That made absolutely no sense. So she called him on it, and he doesn't like to take any accountability. This is the reason why I said in a previous conversation that these males of Huntsville are definitely not good examples of what a husband is supposed to be. And listen, I know the show Real Housewives, the term should stand for women who are married, who actually are being taken care of and maybe doing their thing as well. But we don't have housewives. We have women that are business owners and entrepreneurs, or trying to act like they are entrepreneurs, but they're not really wives. A lot of them are not wives, and they're definitely not housewives. So we know that that phrase does not mean what the show actually is. I get that. But it was started on the premise of it being that way, because when it started as the Real Housewives of Orange County. That was the first franchise of the Real Housewives. And these women were representing women who were married, who were living lavishly. Their husbands had successful careers. Now, I know over the years, a lot of those things fizzled and died and failed, but yet still, that's what the premise of it was about. Love and Marriage and Huntsville being the first franchise, and then it went on to DC, and now they've got Detroit. But it's supposed to represent couples, married couples. And it was supposed to showcase, successful marriages and people who have success in life and in business or their careers. You don't always have to be a business owner to be successful. You can have a successful career and be an employee with amazing pay and amazing benefits. Like I've said before, there are people out here that are working in companies they don't own, and they're making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year with amazing benefits. Like it happens. So it doesn't always have to be that you own your own business. But anyway, I'm just saying, for this to be the first of this Love and Marriage franchise, and you have males who are despicable, who are not honorable as husbands. They do not honor their wives. They want women who are going to be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. That old mindset of, well, I want a woman that's going to serve me. You don't even serve anybody. You're not worthy of submitting to, because submission is supposed to be the wife submitting to the husband and the husband submitting to the wife. It's about mutual respect, but they are wanting women who are going to cook and clean, and that old mindset of the way things used to be. And the way things used to be, honestly, if you think about that, those people who did that, for the most part, those women, they were able to rely on and depend on their spouse. And then you wound up getting a lot of people who were in marriages. Like I said before, a lot of people get into these marriages that they're not worthy of being married to. They're broken people. So you get a man who is abusive, who hates women. They just want somebody to serve them and do all of these other things like that. And then they want to claim that they're taking care of the house and the home, but they're out here screwing everything that has a hole. And you're not honorable. You're not worthy of submitting to. You're not even dependable. You have families all around town. You're having babies with other people. That's what a lot of it evolved to. But when that stuff used to be the way that it was supposed to be a woman that was able to depend on their spouse, and that husband wanted their wife to be able to depend on them. They love them, they honor them, they cherish them. But you got a lot of bad examples of people getting into it, and then that's what it became. These losers, Marceau, Maurice, Hotel, they are horrible examples of what a husband is supposed to be. So this Love and Marriage acronym for this show, it's extremely questionable, because I know that Kimmi probably is wanting to be in this thing and have it look like a successful marriage, and this is my best friend or whatever. But this man doesn't even respect you. He doesn't even respect the fact that you had to go through chemo, surgery, radiation, and then he cares about getting pleasured. So you're sitting and stressing about your sex drive being down because of the chemo and the treatments that you've had to undergo to save your life. The last thing you should have to be worried about is sex. And the last thing he should be even thinking about, if he really loved his wife, is sex. He should be concerned about, is she going to be alive tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? That's just how selfish he is. But for him to say to her during this meeting about cleaning, well, actually, when they had this date night at the Wine and Design that Marceau and Letitia met them up at, he's talking about cleaning and saying, well, that's your job. This is what I'm saying. These males, they're horrible representations of what a husband should be. And all this does, people watching this that are single, is just say, you know what? If that's what marriage is, then they can keep it. I don't want any parts. I don't want any parts of that. So I just wanted to talk about this, guys. I know I got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I got heated when I was watching this. And if I did a reaction as I was watching this, you probably would have heard a lot of yelling and screaming. So I just am pretty passionate about this because it pisses me off. The fact that this woman had the scare of her life, had to fight for her life, and you expect her to be able to raise your son that you took selfishly for selfish purposes and reasons, and expect her to take care of all of that, as well as cooking and cleaning and all that other stuff, and screwing you whenever you feel like it. It's just absolutely insane. And I'm just over it. I really am. You guys can let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments section below. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth. I'm just being beautifully honest. I hope you all are doing amazing. I really appreciate you guys. And so until the next time, I just wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and I'm going to say bye.